Good morning, everybody. Marcia from Be So Creative here with the last installment in our Wednesday workshop for our applique snowman. Yay! So I hope that you all are at least here on got your little snowman all laid out on your fabric and ready to go. Today I'm going to show you how to sew that baby down. Here's the deal. Just because you use the fusible web does not mean that you can leave him without stitching him down because I will tell you as soon as you decide to wash it or it gets moved around a lot, he's going to come off. So today I'm going to show you 3 different ways that you are able to stitch your applique pieces to the background. And this is pretty critical because of that very reason. You have to make sure that he is stuck where he needs to be. So, so a couple of things that I do want to show you on my little snowman here is that I've added a little bit of embellishment to my little snowman. If you will notice, I have actually drawn his eyes on. I will tell you one of the things that I used to do when we lived in Chama was I actually cut out wooden animals and all different kinds of things and painted them, and this was the eyes that I always put on. So I drew my eyes on. You can use one of the bigger beads, the little glass beads, and I'm sorry I'm not that familiar with beading, but they have some larger beads that would be perfect for the eyes and also for to add a little bit of embellishment here on the snowman's middle belly snowball here. So that would be something that you would want to do. I did use a triple stitch for his smile. So that is something that you may want to try. Or if you like to do hand embroidery, then this would be a perfect place to use hand embroidery. The other thing I want you to notice is that I did add some free motion stitching here on my snow and also under his little tummy there and under the scarf. The thing is, I think that that gives it a little bit more dimensional look. The last place that I've been looking at him for the last few weeks, and I think I'm going to add a little bit of stitching here as well because I think that on a snowball, you would actually have some shadow here, and that is what I'm trying to do with my stitching here. Here's the thing, this is your snowman now, and you may do any kind of embellishment that you would like to do with the snowman. The other thing that I'm going to be on the lookout for is maybe a little red button of a bird, like a little red cardinal button that I think would be super cute to put here on my fence. So this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're going to work on today is actually stitching down our little snowman. I'm going to show you 3 different types of stitches that you can use to stitch your snowman down. So the first thing that I'm really going to recommend for you if you do not have this foot in your arsenal is I love using the open toe embroidery foot. Now, as you can see, this is completely open here, and it's also completely open here inside of this foot as well. All sewing machine brands have an open toe embroidery foot. This happens to be the Bernina. It is the number 20. And if you have a 9mm machine, then it would be the 20C. And this is the one that is from Baby Lock, but Baby Lock and Brother. So this one is the open toe embroidery foot as well. So as you can see, both of these feet, you're going to see why I like using them here in just a second when I do my demo on the different types of stitches. So if you do not have one of these, I highly recommend them because you are actually able to see exactly where the piece that you're going to be stitching on the edges are, and that's pretty critical. The other thing that I want you all to realize is I am not going to be stitching on my actual snowman. The reason that I'm not going to be doing that is because I want to make sure that you are able to see my stitching. So I have got 3 pieces here that I'm able to use for my demonstration because I'm going to be using black thread so that you would be able to see exactly where my stitches are going to go. So that is why I've got these pieces and why I am not stitching on my actual snowman. So let's come over here to the machine. Let me pop my foot on. Now, I'm using my Bernina today. Uh, it's one of my favorites. So the first one that I'm going to show you is I'm going to show you the zigzag method. And I should have talked about this before, but I just want to show you all. Marco, are you able to get a good close-up for these folks? All right, so the thing is, this first one that I'm going to show you is a really tiny little zigzag. That's perfect, Marco, right there. Look at that. All right, so what you do when you are going to be using a little zigzag is you want to make sure that you match your thread to the pieces that you are going to be stitching down. So needless to say, for my little snowman, I had numerous colors of thread. I have the orange for his nose, the gray for his hat, the red for his scarf and hat band, the wood from my fence, white for my snowman's body, and then of course my green for my tree. So this is really kind of a critical thing if you are going to do the tiny zigzag. And the reason that I like it is because I I like the fact that it does not take away from my actual design of my applique because everything matches. And so what shines through is the fact that the snowman is what you're seeing. You're not looking at the actual stitching. So this is the one that I'm going to show you first, how to do that little zigzag. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to select your zigzag on your sewing machine, and then I'm going to turn my stitch width down to about 1.5, and I'm going to turn my stitch length down to either a zero point 0.9 or even a 1. All right. Now, Marco, let's see how close we can get so these fine people can see what we're fixing to do. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I want to zig on my fabric and I want to zag off my fabric. So the first thing that I like to do is I'm going to turn it with my hand wheel. And I want to make sure that I'm on my fabric, and when I jump that I am off. So I need to adjust a hair, that I'm actually zagging off. So you zig on to your applique piece and you zag off. I I will, oh, that's perfect, Marco. I love that. Okay, so here's the deal. One of the things that I absolutely love and a lot of people do not use is your freehand system. And the reason that I like the freehand system is that this allows me to raise and lower my foot. Now, here it is. Now, this is on the Bernina, but I will tell you almost all brands have a freehand system. The thing I like about this is I'm not having to reach up here and raise and lower my presser foot as I go around the curve. All I do is I just take my knee, push it over, and it raises and lowers my foot. Isn't that fabulous? So if you have one of these and you haven't been using it, come on, get it out of the cabinet and give it a whirl. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is zig onto my applique and zag off onto my project here. Zigzag, zigzag, zigzag. See how this is doing that? And the thing is that this is what I really love. So see, if I need to adjust that, I use my knee, I raise my foot, and I keep going. The other thing that I really love about this foot is, and I'm going to show you, let me find my pointer here. All right, so I use the edge of the right toe right here, I use that as my guide for when I need to make an adjustment to my fabric. So what the reason that I say that is I want you to notice that from the edge of my applique to the edge of the inside right toe of my open toe embroidery foot, I keep that even. And when it starts moving, and I'm going to show you when I come around this curve what I'm talking about, when it starts moving away from my toe like this, that is telling me that I need to stop, make the adjustment to my fabric. See how that you can slide back and forth until that is parallel with the inner toe of that foot, and it will keep me nice and even as I go around. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, do you see how I'm moving away from there? So I'm going to stop, I'm going to rotate, make it a little bit, and look at that. I'm right along the edge of that. Stop, make that adjustment. There we go. Here's the thing, if you are not a crazy appliquer like I am, because I really do love applique, what I suggest you do is turn the speed of your machine down so that you can just make sure that you are just hitting that fabric right off the edge of your applique piece. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I turn a corner. So let me get down there. But do you see how I'm keeping that parallel with that guy? Okay, I'm coming up to my corner. So I'm going to slow way down. Now I'm fixing to hit that little point. All right, so I want my zigzag to go where that point is. So what I'm doing is I'm stopping, I'm raising my foot, and it's going to bounce right over there. There, see, right in that corner. And then I'm going to turn it a little bit more, and I'm going to stitch off of there, and now I'm going to turn it the rest of the way. Now here's the deal, guys. This takes a little practice, but you can do it. All right, so this is the zigzag method. Remember that what you're going to do is if you're going to use the tiny zigzag, you want to make sure that your thread matches your applique piece, okay? So that's the first one. So let me clip this. Let me get rid of these threads so you don't have to look through them. Now the next one I'm going to show you is a blanket stitch. So your blanket stitch normally is underneath your quilting stitches. All right, so now on this Bernina, this little quilt block represents my quilting stitches. So the thing is that I can go here and I can find my stitches. I am going to show you all something though, that when you see a really heavy, see now here's this guy, he's kind of light, but do you see how heavy this stitch is? That is telling you that that is a triple stitch. And for the most part, you really don't need to do that. You really do not need to do a triple stitch unless you really want to add some, a little bit heavier texture to your stitch itself. So on a blanket stitch, the stitch goes forward, it jumps to the side, it jumps back, and jumps forward. So let me just show you how this one is going to go. Now, the thing that I normally do when I am working on I'm going to come over here to this guy. When I'm working on something, I always do a test because I may need to make an adjustment to my stitch width and to my stitch length. So I'm going to do my test right here on this one. So this is, okay, you know what? I think this is perfect for this guy. So let me show you. So here it is. So the nice thing is, oh, I dropped my pointer. Give me a second. All right, so here we go. So on a blanket stitch, it takes a stitch on the side, it jumps onto your applique, it jumps back and takes another forward stitch. The thing that's kind of nice about this one is if you want to kind of go for a little bit more country look, the beauty of this is it actually outlines what you are stitching down. Most of the time, your blanket stitch is done with a black or dark thread. So just FYI, that's just a little bit of information that maybe you want. All right, so what we're going to do now is whenever you stop, you always want to make sure that you go back to the beginning of your stitch. So on most machines, they have a place for you to go back to the beginning. And so you always want to start with your first stitch going down the edge, and then it will jump over. So here we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to land him right there. Now watch, he's going to jump over. See, he jumped over. Now I want you all to notice, look what I'm doing. Same thing. I am keeping my applique piece parallel with my foot. And that way I will make sure that I am stitching just off the edge of my applique piece. And again, when you get to where it starts moving away, and I'm going to show you here in just a second because it's coming up, see right there, it's moved away and it's no longer parallel to my foot. So raise your foot with your freehand system and it's going to jump. Well, just a minute. Let me jump him and he's going to jump back and now we're going to move so he is parallel and he's going to continue to go down the side of my piece here. Now the other thing I want to show you, and I hope it does it. Let me see if I can make it do it. All right, so do you see how right now I've got this like little puckery thing going on here? See that? That is telling me I need to raise my foot because if I don't and I keep it this way, it's not going to be parallel and you're going to get a little pucker there. So I raise my foot. Look what it did. Smooth that puppy right out. There's my parallel. And that is perfect. Now, do you see why I think you should be using your freehand system when it comes to using the blanket stitch for your applique? And see, I'm right along that edge and I've still got that really lovely parallel line. Let me show you how I turn the corner on this one. Okay, so there I'm at my point. I'm going to let it jump over. I'm going to let it jump back. And then I'm going to give a little bit of a turn. Now I cheat and I raise my foot and I want him to land right there at that point. So what do? I put him in there. Okay. Now he's down. So then I turn the whole thing and I'm actually going to have my blanket stitch jump. And I'm going to do this slow because I do this at all my corners. I'm going to let him go right there in line with my blanket stitch. I'm going to come back and let him land back in that hole, and then we're going to proceed. There we go. All right, so let me pull that out so y'all can see what it looks like. And like I said, guys, practice makes perfect. I love applique, so I do this a lot. Now, Marco, let's see if we can get a nice little, do you see here where this stitch is? So remember, I slowed way down. I used my hand wheel and planted my forward stitch in that corner. I turned, because remember it was here, so I came here, planted it in the corner, did a 90-degree turn. He jumped over here, he stitched, he came back to that, and then my next stitch was a forward stitch, and I will continue on. So that is another way to sew down your little snowman. Last but not least, this is the one that I think most people are most familiar with is the satin stitch. And you know, I think the satin stitch is a lovely stitch, but the thing that I find that sometimes it causes puckering. So the thing is that if you are wanting to do a beautiful satin stitch all the way around your design, sometimes it does help to put some kind of tearaway stabilizer behind it. I do not have a piece behind here right now, so we're going to find out if we get puckers. So what you do on a satin stitch is you are going to shorten your stitch length to where they are pretty close to being right on top of each other. You are still going to use your open toe embroidery foot because I really want to see where this is going to land. And so again, you're going to zig on and zag off. You're going to keep that parallel with your foot, but I always do one hand turn. So let's see where we are here. Because remember, you want it to be just off. And what this does is, let me start up here and we're going to see how close. Okay, I need to make that a little bit shorter. Now this is something, and I'm going to tell you all, you really need to, this is what I do. Do not practice this on your piece. Get you a little scrappy guy. Practice on the little scrappy guy until it's exactly like you like it, and then go to your actual applique piece and stitch him down. So let me show you what this is going to look like. Do you see how close together that is? This is what a satin stitch looks like, and I will tell you I could probably go a little bit tighter. This is another one that you would want to have your threads match your fabric. Oops, my applique, my little piece came up, so we're going to hold him down here. All right, so when you get here to this guy, I'm almost there. There I'm at the point. You're going to give him a turn. Oh, I need to go one more. Okay, here we go. You're going to turn him. See, I'm keeping him parallel just like on the others. All right, so I think you all get the idea. Let's come back over here, Marco, if this will work for you to see. All right, so let's look at this guy as well. Okay. All right, so let's go over real quick one more time. The different, I better put this foot up before I lose it because it's clear. All right, so here we go again. Let's look at this one more time. This is a skinny little zigzag. I probably put that at 1.5 or smaller, and the stitch length on this one was 0.9. Okay. Again, for the little zigzag, match your threads to the parts of the applique. So if you have 10 different fabrics on your applique, you're going to have 10 different threads. This one is your blanket stitch. Most blanket stitch is done with either black or a dark fabric. And the thing that is nice about this one is, do you see how that has outlined your pieces? Absolutely beautiful. And I will tell you, this is the one that most people use when they are working with applique stitching. The last one is your satin stitch. Truthfully, I probably could have gone even a little bit closer. Again, practice this on a piece of fabric like this that is the exact, it doesn't have to be the exact same fabric, but it needs to be fabric that is exactly like the pieces that you're going to be stitching on, your background and also your piece up here. I would probably make this even a little bit tighter. as far as my stitch length goes. And right now that stitch length was on 0.2, so you would actually need to go down to a 0.1. And the nice thing about doing it on this white and this green is you can actually see where it kind of comes up. And this is critical if you're going to do a satin stitch. For a satin stitch, you pretty much always match the thread to your applique piece. So anyway, I hope that this has given you guys uh, a great way to stitch down your little applique pieces. Like I said, I love applique. I've used all of these. Everybody has their favorites, and every design has stitches that work better for the design. So anyway, I hope that you all have enjoyed the our little applique snowman. Uh, for those of you who are just joining us, the little snowman pattern will be available on our website, in our online store at the end of the week. So I don't know what date that is, but anyway, so I think it's what, September 17th. So the pattern will be available, and we will also be having kits available, and that will happen on the 17th of September 2021. Oh my gosh. Anyway, thanks so much guys for joining me for my applique Wednesday workshop. I'm so grateful, and I hope you have enjoyed this project as much as I have enjoyed teaching you all how to do this. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that this spurs you on to try some other applique patterns that are available. You all have a great rest of your day, and we will see you soon.